Hi everybody, welcome in. It's a freebie pattern day. I'm Tammy, I'm the Siberian Wind. If you are new to my channel, you don't have to be a subscriber to chat today, so welcome in. I have posted the retreat link, so if you want to join this weekend's retreat, it starts at 6 a.m. Mountain Time tomorrow, which is 8 a.m. Eastern, and 8 a.m. Eastern and 5 a.m. Pacific. So it starts tomorrow morning and will run till an hour before after sunset Sunday. So if you have not registered and you want to, click that pinned message and click the link, go register, and you will get an email sometime this evening, usually about an hour after I end this live. I will get those emails sent out. So you'll have the link. It is on Zoom. You don't have to travel. You can do this from the comfort of your sewing space. Okay, so I'm going to say hi to everybody in the chat real quick, and we're going to get started. I'm going to tell you more about this. So I see Judy and Joyce and Charlotte in the chat. I've got Chloe and Fallon, welcome in, and Jennifer, glad you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here today. And as I said at the beginning, and the title of this live says, this is a freebie pattern. So I'm going to give you a couple of caveats real quick. I did put what are my words? I did put the fabric requirements in the description box of this video. So if you do not already have your fabrics picked out, you do have the fabric requirements in the description box. I will go ahead and tell you right now, I should have had you get just a little bit more on your cornerstones because if you accidentally cut just a hair off, you don't have enough. You need a little bit more than 4 inches to be able to get your pieces for your cornerstones, because that is the very bare minimum. But if you have a little bit of extra, you should have plenty of give room to cut what we're needing to cut today. Welcome in, Deborah. Glad you're here. Glad you made it. All right, so today is Grandma's Cakes and Fans. Okay, this is the layer cake pattern that you guys requested me to work with some pre-cuts. So we've already done charm squares. That was Charm to Meet You back in February. We did a skill builder back in April with Follow the Goose. And Follow the Goose is not for the faint of heart, okay? It's a lot of flying geese. So this month we're kind of taking a breather and we're going to make it a little bit easier. So welcome in, Sandra. Glad you're here. If you're not a subscriber, guys, feel free to hit that subscription or that subscribe button. Please also hit a thumbs up. And guys, I do also have a raffle that is coming up on the Christmas in July live on July 29th. There's 2 different things that are going on that night. One is a quilt auction. The other is the super chat giveaway. So if you want to do a super chat, you are welcome to do so. Anything you give today will go towards that super chat raffle. So you will have raffle tickets for every super chat. And then if you want to join the retreat, as long as you're chatting today, please subscribe, and that will help me out with your registration. Welcome in, Rena. Glad you're here as well. She's from Central Illinois. Fantastic. It's been a while since I've been in Illinois, but I've been there a few times. I went through Chicago a whole lot for a while, but I've been through all parts of Illinois, so glad to have you here. Glad to have you. All right, so every couple of months, I issue out a free pattern. With that being said, all of my free patterns are something that I have drawn or I have designed, and I'm doing it for one reason or another. I'm doing it to either be skill building like Follow the Goose was, or I'm doing it to use up pre-cut or use up scraps or use what you already have. I don't want you to have to go buy a whole lot of anything to be able to do any of these. Sometimes you might not have what you need in your stash or in your fabric supply, so you may have to buy something. But overall, I try to make that the minimum that you have to get. So I don't want you to have to go buy extra. But if you want to go buy, you know, I am a fabricologist. You're allowed to go buy, okay? I'm giving you permission. So this is a quarter of the quilt. Thank you, Chloe. Yeah, I'm super stoked. I'm super stoked. So this version is done with batiks. So you're going to have two main blocks. You're going to have your cake block and you're going to have your fan block. Now your fan block is going to look different depending on what your background fabrics look like. So I chose a very dark background. It is a gray mottled color. So the background really blends in together, so you can't really tell from a distance that it is multiple pieces involved here. Then you're going to have sashing if you want to do sashing. You do not have to do sashing, but you can. These blocks are all going to measure 9 inches finished, and we're going to be doing 6 blocks wide by 8 blocks tall. So it's going to come out 54 by 72 without the sashing and without borders. So the sashing, I'm adding 2-inch sashing. So it's going to come out 1.5 inches per row and per column. And then the borders, we'll get to that when we get there. I'm going to do 3-inch ones for mine, but you can choose whatever you want. Welcome in, Katie. She says hello and happy Friday, right? It is a Friday. It is a Friday, and it is the Friday before retreat. So that means that once I get everything sent off to you guys, no birds this time, Rita. Welcome in, no birds. So once we get this sent out this time, I get to take some time off and relax for a little bit because I got a lot to do in retreat, guys. I have a lot to do. So, all right. So I'm going to bring you guys over to the cutting table. You're only going to see the cutting table. You're not going to see me or anything, but you'll still be able to hear me. So I'm going to bring you over and show you. Welcome in, Alicia. Glad you guys are here. Glad everyone is showing up. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so let's get over to the cutting table. So I have purple for my sashing for the quilt that I'm going to work on today. So I am going to cut this just like you guys would be, because you haven't already had the pattern. So you guys are going to see me actively cut what we're going to work on, okay? So I've got this solid purple. It's a lavender. It's a very light purple, and you'll understand why I chose that here in a minute. I also picked up this blue, and I did not get just 4 inches at the store. I got 1/4 yard, so 9 inches. And a lot of the times when they cut for you at the store, they will cut just a little bit over. So I do like that. These are Hobby Lobby fabrics that I picked up, and it was just because it was what I had available to me here in town and on sale. And then this is going to be my background. Now it is not a solid, it is a pattern print. It has a little bit of like speckles in it. It reminds me of like brown pavement. It's not concrete, but you know how if you've got pebbles or whatever laid down, it kind of reminds me of that for the color of it. So this is my background. So this is one of the things we're going to work with first. So I'm going to set my sashing off to the side and out of the way. So background will be one of the first things we work with. And here is my layer cake. Welcome in, Stella. Glad you are here. I hope I'm seeing you on Wednesday. Just saying. Okay. So my layer cake, I'm going to turn it so you guys can see. My layer cake is a fantastic, oh no, Sandra. Well, welcome back in. All I've done so far is move fabric out of the way, so you will see everything again. Nothing has been done that you've missed majorly. I promise. I promise, promise. All right, so this is my layer cake. This is from Ruby Star Society. It is called Dog Park. A lovely, beautiful subscriber sent this to me, and I have been holding on to it, kind of waiting for the right time to work with it. So it's got a lot of very cool prints. So it's got this cream color with all these dogs on it. It's got this peach color, and it looks like almost a Rottweiler kind of looking dog. He's so cute. He or she is so cute. Just absolutely cute. But it's a peach colored fabric. I mean, you can kind of tell it's a little pink compared to my background that I chose. I've got dachshunds on here, also in that peach color. And then I've got some pink fabrics. So this one has paw prints. So, yep, Katie, yep, doggies, absolutely. So I've got all these little paw prints going down this down this fabric. This is, if you don't look at it closely and you're looking at it upside down like I am, it kind of looks like sheep that are on here, but it isn't. There are trees and there are dogs standing amongst the trees. Sometimes it looks like the dogs are standing on the trees, but they're just standing on hills, and it's kind of a landscape print. Here's a blue version of the dachshunds. Here's a blue version of the paw prints. And then we have even a darker blue that's in this pack. This has golden retriever faces. Welcome in, Susan. Oh, she's on the road setting a stoplight. Oh, yeah. No, do not watch. Please do not watch. Watching is for replays. Watching is not for driving time. But glad you're tuning in. Glad you're able to hear me. All right, so in this print, in this dark blue print, there is some purple in here. So my sashing, I actually matched to the purple that's in here. So it's a little bit lighter of a shade, but it's the same colorway as the purple in the dog print. And then this one it's another dark blue, and it's almost black, but it's a navy print, and it's got French bulldog faces, and it's very Art Deco looking. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera before I drop it. Yes, Sandra, they are so cute. So I've got this navy, and that it also has dogs on it. I think everything in this pack either has dogs or dog paw prints, which is perfect. So here's a blue version of the trees and the landscape that we saw in the pink. This is the golden retriever faces again on a cream. There is also another trees of the cream. And let's see, we got dogs on the brown. More French bulldogs, and again, this is the line art. You guys might actually be able to see this one better. Let me pick this one up so you can see it, because it is just so stinking cute. I'm not a French bulldog person, but they are so cute, guys. They are so cute, the little French bulldog faces. And so it's appropriate that they did it with Art Deco. It really just is. So in this pack so far, we've got some pink, we've got some couple different shades of blue, we've got some purple, we've got some tan. We now have some browns and some other tans coming in. Here's the golden retriever faces. So we've got it in the cream and the tan here, or the sandy color or darker brown. And so here's a cream with the dog paw prints. And here's the French bulldogs again, cream with the French bulldog line prints. Yep, we're going to use all 42. Yes, Rita, we absolutely are. You do need 42 layer cake squares to do this. So if you were going to cut this from your own fabrics, like you're going to just cut from your scraps and cut 10-inch squares, you will need 42. And it's going to kind of make sense when you see how this comes out, because you're making 48 blocks total, so you can't do 48 layer cake squares with 42 layer cake pieces. So we're going to make it stretch a little bit. All right, so what I've got now here at the back is this layer cake came with a few prints. Let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we've got 6 here that are not repeated at all. So I only have one fabric of each of these 6. Lurking as I fold close. Oh, that's perfect, Charlotte. That's okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through these 6, and you need to pick out 24 that you want to be your big pieces, that you want to be your cakes in this quilt. So I do like this print. I do want to see the Rottweiler faces. So I do want that. This one is actually not paw prints. It is just little stars. So this one's okay for me to cut up. I don't mind if I cut that because it doesn't have dog faces that I want to keep. So we do have the dachshunds on navy, so we're probably going to keep that one. So that gives me 2. And here's a peach with the Rottweiler faces. So we're definitely going to keep that one as well. And then this one and this one are also kind of the same star print that this navy is. So we've got navy and peach and cream all in these. So these are not gonna, I don't want a whole square of this. It's pretty and I like it. But if I've got to prioritize what I want to keep and what I want to see as a full square, I want something with a lot more activity going on. So I'm fine cutting those. So far I've got 3. So now we've got to get a total of 24 that are going to be the ones we're going to keep as the big pieces. So you're going to have 24 that you keep, and then the rest are going into another pile, and we'll cut into those. So I'm going to pick first the ones I know I want, because I don't want duplicates either. So anytime that I pick one out, my duplicate is going to go into the cut pile. So I'm only going to pick one of each of them that I keep separate. And then I can go back and pick another one if I want. Like if I run out or something. Like this one would be one that I would probably try to keep separate. Welcome in, Andrea. Glad you're here. So this dog print has, like if I have to duplicate, I'd rather duplicate this dog print with all the different dogs on it. So that might be one I go back and grab. But we're just going to start separating, because if you've got 42 layer cake squares, you should have 21. If they're all if everything is duplicated, you should have 21 that would come out like this. So you would just have to go back in and pick a few that you like to separate out. So this one will probably have one that's big and one that's cut. Or what I might do, because I've got, you know, these really cute ones that are all the dogs, and the paw prints will still show up either way, I may end up going back and pulling all of the dog, you know, the wallpaper looking ones. I guess that's the best way to call it, is the wallpaper looking ones. I may go back and pull all of those just so that I have exactly what I want. Because, okay, here again, we've got the paw prints, and it's cute and I love it, but do I really want to see a full square of just that in the quilt? And I might, but I don't know for sure yet. I will make decisions here in just a minute. That's how we're going to do it. We're going to make decisions in a minute. So let's see. Here's pink with the dog prints as well. Go, pal. My puppy was underneath my table, and he doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be. He needs to go elsewhere. I think these little Rottweiler faces are so stinking cute. They've got such a personality to them. All right, now I really like this one. It's got all the different colors in it. All right, so let's see how many I've got. I should have counted as I went, but I wanted to talk, so that kind of makes it hard. All right, there's 4, 5, and 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I actually have to pick 6 more that I'm going to keep. So I am going to do this. I'm going to pull that out. So that's 1. And we're going to pull this one. So that's 2. And let's see. Where is he? Well, we'll pull that one. 3. And there we go. 4 and 5. And I think there's one more I'm going to grab. There we go. I'm going to grab the Labrador faces, or the Golden Retriever faces. Welcome in, Giovanna. Oh, captions are not on. Oh, no. Hang on. Let me see. I don't know if I can change it. Oh, my gosh. I don't know why the captions aren't on. I am so sorry. That was not at all what I intended to have happen. Let me make sure there's nothing I can do right now. Nope, I can't turn them on. I am so sorry, Andrea. I am so sorry. I did not realize that they were not on. I had no idea. All right. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay. So we have our 24. Welcome in, Sharon. Yes, absolutely. This is definitely a layer cake pattern. And it also works with all the inconsistencies you might find too. Yeah, I don't know what I did in setting this live up, but I apparently forgot captions. So I'm disappointed in myself that I did that. All right, so the 24, we're going to set these aside for later. I will explain to you what you're going to do with them, but I'm just going to set them aside for later. Okay, these are the ones we are going to cut into. Now, if you want to be a fabric Grinch, you can cut these in a lot of different ways to conserve your fabric. However, I am not going to worry about doing that. I am not going to worry about conserving fabric. You are going to have a little bit of waste with this pattern, but it's not going to be a lot, and it's not going to be any more than what you would get in anyone else's patterns. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to layer 6 squares together because I can cut through 6. If you do not feel comfortable cutting through, okay, let's do that. All right. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. Let's see. Hang on. Okay. Okay, let's see if this helps, Andrea. I am so sorry. I did not mean to not have captions on. So that is completely on me. So yes, as soon as captions are available after the live, that will help a lot. So what we've done so far is we have pulled out 24 layer cake squares that we are going to set aside for later that we're not going to use immediately. And what we're about to do is we are going to cut into our other layer cake squares, and I'm going to cut into 6 at a time. So that's what we're going to cut into first. It's not okay, Andrea. I am very, very aware that there are a lot of people who need those captions. So oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That I normally check that for every single live. I even have a note where I look at and, it reminds me to check my captions, and I missed that today. So that is on me. So I greatly apologize. So what we're going to do with this layer cake. So your squares should be 10-inch squares. When I was working on this one that is behind me, my squares were not 10 inches square. They were 10 inches one direction, and they might be 10 inches the other direction, but they could be shifted slightly, so they were a little wonky. So this pattern, you don't have to stress about that because you're going to trim that off and it's not going to be a big deal. So what I'm going to do is I am going to cut two 4.5-inch strips from this layer cake set. And we're going to do that to all of these. So all of the ones we didn't set aside, so make sure that you set those 24 aside because you don't want to cut into them. But the rest of them, we are cutting 4.5-inch strips from them. Now, if you wait and you want to do this a little bit later, you can fussy cut a little bit more, but I'm not worried about fussy cutting. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself a clean edge on two sides of my layer cake squares. Do not cut any more than you feel comfortable cutting. I feel comfortable cutting 6 layers, but if you don't feel comfortable cutting that many, don't cut that many. Definitely, keep it within your comfort range. So I'm going to cut this actually as a 9-inch square, okay? So I'm going to cut a 9-inch square to start. So if you want to trim up all of your not your 24s that are set aside, if you want to cut all of these to 9 inches, you can do that. And that will work for this pattern. All right, so we've got it cut to 9 inches. So now I'm going to cut at 4.5. I'm going to cut all the way across the entire stack at 4.5. And then I'm going to come down here with my ruler, and I'm going to find my 4.5-inch marking, and I'm going to cut across 4.5 inches. So from each of these squares, you will have 4 4.5-inch squares. I'm going to stack them so that I can still access every square, okay? You'll be able to see it a little bit more with a darker color. But you want to make sure that you can get access to all of your squares. Okay, we are going to do the rest of these. So you're going to do all of the ones that you didn't set aside. And you do need 4 4.5-inch squares. Some of them you will be trimming down. Some of them you will be sewing before you trim down. So it is easier to go ahead and keep them all, cut them all to 4.5 inches if you want a fast quilt. If you want to do this, and get it done even, with less fabric waste, you can do that. But that's on you. I am not wasting a whole lot. If your layer cake is completely square, these probably are. But if your layer cake isn't, you can still do this without too much problem. And we are going to do all of the cutting first. We're not going to do any sewing until everything is cut and ready. All right. So there's my 9-inch square, not 9.5, 9-inch square. And we're going to cut at 4.5 again. And then we're going to also cut at 4.5 across again. And do this however this is easiest for you. If you have an AccuQuilt cutter and you have the 4.5-inch die for it, and you want to cut it using that, you absolutely can. I do have the 4-inch, but I don't have the 4.5. So I'm not going to go and invest in it for one pattern, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to layer these up. Just so that they are out of the way. And so I can finish cutting what I have. No, Andrea, I have not yet. That comes out within an hour of this live ending. So when this live ends, within about an hour, I will have the written follow along sheet that goes with this, and you'll have a link in the description box of this video so you can download it. So yeah, it'll be available. It just isn't already up. I always wait until after the live. Yeah, it is after the live. Good call, Rita. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's always, on my freebie patterns, it is always within that hour after the live. Sometimes I have them written in advance. Sometimes I don't. I have actually gone in and edited my my instruction sheets because I've discovered something during a live and wanted to add that. So that way everybody gets the same version. I found that waiting until after the live worked really well. Really, really well. Because I'm always thinking of things. Always thinking of things. Okay. So this turned out to be 18 squares that I have. So 24 plus 18, is that 42? I think it is. I think it is. But either way, this will be accurate. Either way. All right, so we're going to cut our 4.5. And we are going to cut our other 4.5 and we're ready. Just make my computer take notes. Oh, very cool. I hear you, Rita. She is using her phone and she's using her computer to take notes. Yeah, there will be a handout after the live that will help with that. So you'll have some descriptions and what, the key points are. And so if you don't want to necessarily watch the live all over again, you can. Oh, you're fine, Giovanna. Thank you for watching the replay. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. All right. So what we have up here, let me move them back in the camera view, is we have all of our 4.5-inch squares. Oh, you're fine, Debbie. I understand that. She'll be lurking, getting ready to go to dinner and a concert. I will be getting ready and going to a baseball game after the live is done. All right, so that's one set of your layer cake. The other set of your layer cake, we are going to pull these out, and I am going to line these up a little bit because I want a little bit cleaner, a cleaner look to them. And as I'm looking, they're not exactly straight. So the fact that we're going to trim them really is a good thing, because that way we won't have things that don't line up and make it hard to sew. But we're not trimming a lot off of these. And that's absolutely fine, Andrea. I went looking to make my sample and thought I was going to have to use yardage. And I just happened to have all of these 10-inch squares already in my scrap box. And apparently I bought a layer cake at one point. I didn't know I had, but I apparently did. So I've got a whole bunch. Let's see, 18 times 4. If 18 times 4 is 96, then yes. Yes. And you will need them in pairs. You will need them in pairs. So these squares, these are the ones we like. These are the ones we want to be our full square pieces, like our full square pieces, our cake pieces. Rita's going to use yardage and fat quarters. Good call. I like that idea. So these squares right here, you are going to cut them at 9.5 inches. Do not cut them at 9 inches. You will need that extra 1/2 inch for your seam allowance. So you will see that you just did 24. Awesome. So you will need your 24 9.5 inch squares. So if you're cutting this from yardage and you don't want to cut 10-inch and trim, then you can cut your 9.5 inch squares. You wouldn't have to cut the full 10-inch and then trim down. But these are the pretty ones. These are the ones we don't want to cut into. These are the ones you buy the layer cake for, because they are the gorgeous prints that you want to see the whole print. So we're not going to cut them small. We are just trimming them up to make them easier to handle. We are just trimming them up. And this is going to make them even. And depending on how wonky your layer cake is, will determine how much you trim off. So this is a lot smaller of trimmings than what I trimmed off of the other squares where we did the 9 inches and then trimmed it to 4.5. So I'm going to scoot these just a hair over here so I can put these in your guys' camera range so you guys can see them. And I'm going to grab the next stack of 6. And 6 is a good number for this quilt because almost everything that you are doing, you can do in sets of 6. Not everything, but almost everything. So if you do feel comfortable cutting 6 layers, that will speed up your cutting, but you don't have to. I would rather you, this is my take on it. If I was, in a classroom with you and working you through this, I would rather you take your time and not have an oops cut than to, try to cut a whole bunch and then have an oops cut. Because oopsies cuts, you may not have enough fabric to fix that. I have use for the chickens, dogs, and cats fabric I have. Ooh, good idea, Rita. Very good idea. I do have some random fabrics I probably need to do this pattern with. So I will have 2 of these quilts by the time this is done because I will have the batik one. Everything is made. I just haven't finished assembling. But everything is made for the batik quilt except for the borders. That's the only thing I do not have for it because I was pulling from my stash and my supply, and I kind of want to see what I think is going to look good. So I was holding off and waiting on that one. So All right, so 9.5 inches. All right. Make sure I cut through everything, and I did not. There we go. It's just this little corner. All right, so we're going to stagger it a little bit so I know I've gotten 2 stacks done. Oh, very cool, Andrea. Hers is going to be fruits and veggies. Awesome. I like that plan. And I'm really loving this layer cake the more I play with it. I'm just falling even more in love with it than I already was. Like I've literally been thinking on my top of my head, what do I want to do with this layer cake? And I've been worrying about it for months. And so now I'm finally getting to use it, but I'm so excited to use it. Now, I will say this, guys. I did starch everything. I starched my layer cake. Ooh, with poppies and blenders. Oh, that'll be fantastic. This will be perfect for that. This will be perfect for that. I mean, and that's one of the other things. So we buy these pre-cuts, and a lot of the patterns I've seen with them, I just can't get behind. Like, they don't speak to me. So I'm glad that I get to do this. I really am. Because it makes a difference. It makes a difference. All right. So this one is 9.5 as well. And then we have one more stack to cut. And that will be all 24 of the ones we're keeping large. Scrappy is so much more fun. It can be, yeah. I have a box full of 9-inch squares. Can I use these and just make adjustments? Okay, so your 9-inch squares would cut for your 4.5, but they wouldn't cut for this. If you did want to do this whole pattern with just the 9-inch squares, then when you make your fan blocks, you would need to trim those down to 9 inches. And your quilt is going to be smaller, so you may want to use more. Ooh, that's really cool, Sharon. She has 2 layer cakes, both floral. One is red roses. That is awesome. There's a lot that you could do with that. There's so much you could do. So this quilt only calls for 1. This quilt does not call for 2 layer cakes. So I don't know. I don't really know that you could. Well, I guess you could substitute the other layer cake for your background. No, you don't have to cut 4 instead of 4.5. You could still cut 4.5. That would still be okay. It just wouldn't be as good, in my opinion, to do it that way. But you can definitely cut the fans down, so your half square triangles here would just end up being, stunted a little bit. I would not make any other adjustments because that is only 1/2 inch. So I would not make any other adjustments to this part of the cutting. Yeah. Because doing too much to this part of the cutting means that we basically have to alter all of the cutting instructions. But you could just trim those blocks down once they're made, because they will come out 9.5 inches. Roses. Oh, yeah. Yeah, just use one, but then you could always come back and make another quilt. You could choose different backgrounds and do your other layer cake with it. And these are super easy quilts to do. The hardest part is just taking the time to do the pressing. That is the hardest part of this quilt. All right. So here's what we've got so far. We have our 9.5 inch squares. You have to have 24 of these. So These are just your layer cake pieces. I just trimmed them down to 9.5 inches. Okay, we're going to set these aside. These are done and ready and for when we are ready to lay everything out. We don't need to do anything else to them until we're ready to lay them out. Okay, so these are our 4.5 inch squares. We're still going to be working with them here in a minute. All right, here's our background. This is the next fabric we're going to cut. Now, in the description box, I believe, let me grab my description box so I can see what I put in there. Okay, 1.5 yards of background. Let's see. Oh, yes. Believe me, Andrea, I am with you on it. I know how exhausting it is to write patterns. So yeah, I get you. All right. So I put in there to get 1.5. I don't want to mislead you. I did get 2 yards of this fabric. Okay. I put that you only need 1.5 yards. I purchased 2 yards. I always buy more than what you need. So when you see, welcome in, Lana. When you see what I have left over, do not panic if you don't have that much left over, okay? That it is very likely you will not have this much left over. Oh, Lana, I love it. But yeah, you will not have as much left over as I will. All right, so let me grab my notebook because I haven't written everything down yet for you guys. All right, and let me get a sip of my drink. Okay, so we are going to cut strips out of this background. So I am going to cheat, and I don't want you guys panicking about my cheating, okay? So I'm going to show you what I'm about to do. So I have 2 layers of my width of fabric, okay? So this is my width of fabric, complete width of fabric, and I have got it folded in half a second time. So there's not 4 layers of fabric sitting here. There are 8 layers of fabric sitting here, okay? So if you need to cut these separately, cut them separately. Do not do what I am doing just because I did it, okay? Do what you feel comfortable with and what makes sense to you and what works with your cutting style. Ah, yay! Thank you, Joyce. You now have another raffle ticket for this Super Chat giveaway. And guys, if you're new to my channel, Super Chat giveaway, the next one is July 29th. So if you want to enter a Super Chat giveaway, I am giving away things on July 29th. So you have to enter Super Chats to qualify. That's how I used it. Yeah, right? Yeah, I don't cut. I don't like laying just one layer of fabric down because I then feel like I'm not cutting enough fabric at a time. I just feel like I'm taking so long to do it because I'm only cutting one layer, and I start second guessing myself, and that's when I actually do mess up. I am an industrial quilter. I do not quilt small. I always oversize, every time I can. So you guys are reaping the benefits of me oversizing because I've done one and I'm about to do a second. All right. So let me actually move this down so I can get my ruler in here. I need to trim off the rough edges over here. I don't want any of this cutting into what fabric I have available. All right, there we go. So I'm going to trim that edge off, and some of it is fairly wide, but some of it isn't. So, I mean, if you've handled fabric any length of time, you know that that's how it always is. But it is definitely that today. It is definitely that today. Okay, so we have our scrap. All right. So we are going to cut 6 strips at 4.5 inches, okay? Because I am cutting through 2 layers, I'm going to cut 3 strips, okay? But I'm actually getting 6 out of my 3 cuts, okay? So the first one we're doing is 4.5 inches. So the same size as your squares that you already cut, okay? So here's my 4.5. It's lined up. And there is cut 1. And we're about to do cut 2. I love doing these freebie quilt patterns, guys. I love doing them. I'm always thinking of what the next one is going to be. So I am loving doing them. All right, so that makes 4. And then I need to do 1 more cut to get my full 6. And I am not worried about the lines on my mat. I'm using the lines on my ruler to line up and make sure that I am straight down here at my fold, and to make sure that I am straight along my previous cut line. Who all is ready for retreat? Who all's ready for it? I know I am. Why did my rotary cutter... I don't know what I did, but my rotary cutter did not like me. Okay. So we now have 6 strips that are 4.5 inches. Okay. We also need 7 strips that are 3.5 inches. So not the 4.5, but 3.5. So we're going to cut 3 like we did before, and then we'll open the fabric up and cut the extra strip. So we're at 3.5. And there's cut 1. And I hope you guys can tell that it's a different size. I'm hoping that it's obvious. If it's not, I apologize. This fabric does kind of blend into itself, but that's kind of why I chose it. I wanted it to blend in. All right. I've already cut 2, so this is going to make 4. Okay. And this is going to make 6. Oh, let's see. Chloe's ready. She'll have limited time on Saturday, but she'll have time on Sunday. Oh, that's fine. Yes, Sharon, I am. There's a link up at the top of the chat. And just click that and you can go register if you would like to come. It is this weekend. It starts tomorrow morning. I will open it up at 6 a.m. my time. And then it will run through Sunday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So it'll run until an hour before the live. All right, so I've cut 6 of my 3.5 inch strips. And now I'm going to cut my 7th strip. All right. And this is what happens when I don't cut as many layers. I don't push hard enough. Yes, absolutely, Sharon. I'd love for you to make it to this one. All right, so I have more than a half a yard left. So if you do get 1.5 yards, you will have about just under 3 inches left. Okay, so you'll have just a strip left, but you won't have a lot. If you have more than 1.5 yards, like I do, because I bought 2, then you'll have a little bit of extra. Andrea says her stripology rulers have been getting workout lately with all the cutting she's been doing. She also has taken a couple classes on using them for other than just strips and squares. Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's okay, Rita. Remember, we have the chat. If you need the chat is there. She says she has zero voice, so she's not sure about the retreat. All right, so this is everything we need for the center of our quilt. But I told you, we're going to cut everything. We're not leaving this, okay? So we're going to go ahead and cut these down. You need, where did I not? I, of course, don't list anything where I need to list it. All right. Okay, so you need 48 4.5 inch squares, and you need 96 3.5 inch squares. So what I'm going to do is I am going to open these up so that I can cut an entire strip all the way across without having to fight with it so much. Okay. And if you guys can see, my fold isn't laying flat, but that is because I pressed it with the intention of pressing it to be able to cut it easier, not with the intention of being able to do this. All right. So these are my 3.5 inch squares, and I am going to need 96 of them. So we're going to be cutting for a minute. We are going to be cutting for a minute. All right, so I'm lining these up so I can trim the selvages off. And then we're just going to work down the strips. So that's 3 strips. And this will be 4, so that's fine. I'm making it easier for my ruler. Because this way, if I line it up this way, then I can just cut my all of my squares at the same time. And if you do have a stripology ruler, now would be the time to use it. I do not have one. I would love for someone to send me one, but I do not have one. That is not already in the budget yet. I just spent money on servicing my machines. So my money for quilt fabric and any other quilt related spending is shot at the moment, as one does when they spend for machine service. It was very necessary. They had not been serviced in 9 years, so they were a little overdue. Okay, more than a little overdue. All right. And I think I actually am going to use my large ruler. I was going to grab my smaller one, but I think I am going to use mine. I love it, Rayanne. She's like, you can borrow mine anytime. See, I would need it like right now already. I would have to plan for that. I am not good at planning for stuff like that. That's where my downfall is I am not good at planning for it. If I don't have it right when I want it, I don't have it planned that way. All right. And Chloe says she loves her stripology. See, I have looked at them. I seriously did look at them, guys. But I have just not. Same thing as, the Tri-Rex rulers for the upcoming Yuletide sampler pattern. I have not bit the bullet and just gone ahead and bought the rulers. I'm glad you're here, Rayanne. Thank you. All right. Let's see. So each cut I have got, that's 4, that's 8, that's 10, 12, 14. Okay. So you get I've got 14 cuts. And I don't know how many of those I got to make 96. So if somebody wants to do the math for me, because I don't remember it. You know what? I have an idea. Bear with me. Okay. My Amazon device just helped me. So I've done 2 cuts. So she basically said I need to do 7 cuts. So we're going to do 7 cuts to get that. Oh, Kathy got hers cheap second. Yes. I haven't gotten that lucky yet. I've not gotten that lucky yet. All right. So this is going to be cut 4. That's cut. Ah. Okay. I need to get better at this. I am tired, guys. I am very, very tired, so I apologize. Okay. We're going to line it back up. And I'm going to fix my fabric. Because I can do that. You need 7 just under. Yeah. Thank you, Lana. Oh, see, I have missed you. I have needed that in my chat. I have needed that in my chat. All right, so that was 4. So this is 5. Okay, maybe I do need another strip. All right. I will figure this out a little bit. I will come back to it. So I will add, I'm going to up that for you guys. So you're not going to get the wrong instructions. Do not cut 7 strips, cut 8. Yeah, cut 8. Fan gave me my XLG one for my birthday last year. Oh, that's fantastic. I understand that. I'm sorry he lost his job. That's rough. All right, so we're going to go 8 strips at the 3.5. Just for simplicity's sake. Because I don't want you guys running out like I was about to. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And some fabric you will find that you don't need the extra. Some fabric with wider selvages, you will. So, all right. Here in just a minute, we'll be able to do the last little bit of cutting, and then we can start sewing some. So you guys see exactly what it's going to take. I should have had some of this prepped. I'm sorry that I did not have any of it prepped. All right, that is 3. So I'm going to stack up another 3. All right. Here we go. So do any of you have fun plans other than just the retreat? So background need 48 4.5 and 96 3.5. Yes, you have got it right, Rita. You have got it right. You need 48 of the 4.5 and you need 96 of the 3.5. If you were doing a larger quilt, like you decide to make it any larger, then you'll have to adjust your math and your background fabric and all of that. I'm not adjusting it for you. I'm not doing that. Not this time. But if you want to adjust it, you can. All right, so we're going to move this so I can cut on a line. And this one, you should not need an extra one, I don't believe. Because you're going to cut 6, 12. So I only need 4 cuts. No, larger. Not me. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. All right. Get those selvages out of the way. As I look down on the floor and there's a blueberry, a squeaky toy blueberry. Not me, it's been storming. Oh no. Oh, I hope you do not flood again. I will have to stop holding retreats if you start flooding every time I have a retreat. Just saying. All right. So this is my 4.5-inch squares. So I need a total of 48 of them. So I only need to make 4 cuts because I'm cutting 12 per cut. All right. Yeah, hopefully no flooding. Hopefully no flooding. You're just gonna have to move up here if you keep flooding. Just gonna say that. I'm just gonna make you move up here. I'm just kidding. Not gonna make anybody do anything. Nobody panic. Nobody panic. It is a joke. It is a joke. All right. So what I can do, and what you might be able to do, if you run out of your 3.5-inch squares, because I'm gonna have to line those up and cut them because of where my pressing line is. When I cut those and I only need a little bit left, I now have up to 12 that I can cut out of here. Okay, so you may be able to get the rest of your 3.5-inch out of there, but I'm going to go ahead and include the extra strip, so maybe you won't have to. Okay, if you want to conserve fabric, that's the way to do it, but you may not have to. All right. So the next thing we're gonna do, I still have more cutting, guys. I still have more cutting. Oh no, it says not to panic. Now I'm panicking. Thanks, Rita. Thanks. I am good at panicking, guys. I really am. And I'm also good at apparently having a dog underneath my table that's licking my legs. Okay. So this is my cornerstone fabric. This is what I said you need 4 inches of. You need to be able to cut 2 2-inch strips. Okay. So if you can get 2 2-inch strips out of your 4-inch strip, then you're good. If you cannot get a full 2-inch strips, then you may need to get a little bit more fabric. Okay. You need exactly 12 more after you cut the 6 strips. Oh, so that's perfect. Okay. So guys, you should be able to cut the rest of your 3.5-inch squares out of what you had for your 3.5-inch, plus what you had left over from your 4.5-inch. Okay. So you should be able to do that. I will go in and do that later, but I didn't do that this time. All right. There's 1 2-inch strip. And here's my next one. All right. So you can get more fabric if you want to. You don't need to. That's literally all you need for your corner squares. You need 2 2-inch by width of fabric strips for your cornerstones. You are going to need a total of 35 cornerstones for this quilt. So you need to get a total of 35 2-inch squares out of these 2 strips. 6 strips will give you 84. Oh, okay. Well, I couldn't get I couldn't get it. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Okay. I'm lost. My math is not mathing, guys. My math is completely lost at the moment. That's how tired I am, guys. I apologize that I am so tired, but I am definitely tired. All right. So we only need 2-inch. Make sure if you have a Creative Grids ruler, make sure you use the right direction. Make sure you use the right direction. Oh, gosh. You can come back to the cornerstones. 7 strips give you 8. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so you get 4 per cut. And it is okay that I have a little bit of the white of the selvage on here. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but it will be in the seam allowance, so it's not that big of a deal. All right, so 35 is what our goal is. So that's 8. And 12. and 16. Kat's got her up at 12:30. Yeah, I hear you on that. I drove to Billings, Montana, which is a 4-hour and 15-minute drive from home. I drove to Billings, Montana on Wednesday, then turned around and had to be back. I didn't get home till 11:30. Then had to be back up and out to go judge 4-H projects at 9 o'clock yesterday morning, and I was there until 4:30. Managed to make it home just in time for the live at 6 with Kathy from Land That I Love. And yeah, so I'm running on fumes. I will recharge before the retreat. Okay, so you don't need one. So that is your 35 cornerstones. So we're going to set that off. Now, if you have extra background fabric, you can use your background fabric for your cornerstones. That is actually what I did in this quilt. Is my background fabric that is here is my cornerstone fabric as well. If you have enough extra and you want to do it that way, you can. But if you want to get a different accent, then you can do that. Yeah, Sharon. No wonder I'm tired. Yeah. I have literally pushed myself to the limit. So, funny story. While I'm in Billings, I'm killing time because I don't have anything I need to be doing, and I'm waiting for the machines to be done, being serviced. And I'm just wasting time. I went somewhere, and Paladin needs to go number 2. And so I am, trying to get him to do that. And he's just not wanting to. So I decide, well, he always goes at a dog park. I am supposed to slow down. I am. And I am going to be in August. I am taking August as a slow down month. There is a lot that is not going to happen in August. I am taking a little bit of time so that I can sew stuff for me and so I can get stuff done and get stuff prepped for the second half of 2025. So maybe by then I will be functional. But yeah, I haven't slowed down yet. I need to be. I really do need to be. My husband's actually, fussing at me that I need to be. But I haven't been. All right. So this is my sashing for this quilt. Okay. We are going to first cut off the raw edges. Okay. Raw edges are done. Raw edges are mostly done. All right, guys. And again, I do not have much room for talking. Yeah, right, Rita? I know you don't. I know you don't. Okay, so this fabric is pairing with this fabric. Okay, so what that means, we're going to cut 2-inch strips in order to make our pieces. Okay, you are going to need a total of, I wrote it down, you're going to need a total of 82 pieces. Okay. However, you get 4 out of each with the fabric. So if somebody wants to do 82 divided by 4, I think that's going to be, okay, I cut 10 strips and then 11, and then I got a little bit left over. So I cut 10 and 12, something like that, for this one, because I did vertical sashing, different color than horizontal sashing, because I didn't have enough to do everything in one color. So first I'm going to cut 10. Actually, let's see, 20 and a half. That is right. Yes, this is sashing, Chloe. Yep, this is sashing. Yeah, so 20 and a half, so you need 21 strips. It's just easier to just go ahead and cut 21 strips. And because I'm cutting 2 folds of fabric or 2 widths of fabric at a time, then I'm going to actually swap rulers, guys. Because I'm cutting 2 sets of fabric at a time, I only have to do this 10 times instead of 20. The larger ruler, in case you guys are wondering why I'm swapping to it, it gives me a little bit more stability to hang on to. And it's not shifting as much as the smaller ruler is. So as much as I love my smaller rulers, right now it's helping. All right. So that is 2 cuts, 3. You can do whatever color arrangement you like, Rita. So if you want light sashing, then you could absolutely do light sashing. But if you want darker sashing, you can do darker. It is entirely up to you and whatever speaks to you with whatever fabrics you're using as your layer cake. So whatever your 10-inch squares are, whatever fabrics you're going to be using as your layer cake, it's entirely up to you as to how you do the rest of it. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will be 5. All right. I need 10 doubles and 1 single. Yep. That's what we're going to do. All right, so there's 5 doubles. I like that lingo now. That'll work. I need 10 doubles. Yes. See, I told you I missed you. All right. And guys, if you can't sit and cut, that is okay. You do not have to sit and cut. This is just something that I do. Because otherwise I might collapse, and we're not doing collapsing today. We've already done enough of that recently. We're not doing it again today. All right, let's see where we're at. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Doing 9. All right, y'all are allowed to remind me to sleep before my next freebie. Oh, I promise this is a super easy quilt. I am not tired because of this quilt. I am tired not because of this quilt. All right, so that's 10 doubles and 1 single. All right, there we go. So I have a little bit left over, but again, I bought extra. So please do not think that you should have extra or have this much extra, because you may not. Okay? You may not. All right. Now, here's the cheater's trick. I'm going to move some of these out of the way for the moment. I will come back to them. We are going to turn these, and I will be cutting selvage and fold off. I'm just going to line them up. I'm lining them up on the 20 mark on my plan. Collapsing is banned by the pet fabric. Oh, Rita, that's hilarious. You so funny. You so funny. All right, so there's going to be a little bit of waste, but I don't want to pull my fabric out and try to do this, folding it out. Now, if you want to, and you want to, take that extra time, please be my guest. but just know I'm not doing it because I don't feel like I want to. I know that's kind of a cheap way to do it, but I don't want to. All right, so we are cutting 9.5. So I'm going to line my 9.5 inch up with where I want it to fall. And I'm going to go ahead and cut these off. And they can go in my scrap bin because I do use small pieces. And then we're going to come back over here and we're going to line up and we're going to cut on my line that I wanted to cut onto. All right, so now you have horizontal and vertical sashing strips that are the right length. And you may have, like, most of this isn't going to be big enough to use. So it's going away. I'm not going to hang on to it. All right, so we're going to do it again with our next set. And again, I am just making sure that on both ends, like both this side and this side, that I do not have any fabric that doesn't cover all the way to the edge. I want to make sure that my fold and my selvage are securely out of my cutting area and that I'm not going to end up with pieces that are not supposed to be there, if that makes sense. All right, that's cut. And we are going to come down here and we're going to cut this over here. All right. All right. So we have done most of the work for this quilt. Okay. Most of the work is already done. Okay. So what you should have, we're going to recap again. You have 24 9.5 inch squares of your pretty fabrics, the ones that you want to see a full print of in your quilt. These are your cakes. They are going to go in your quilt as they currently are. Okay, there's not going to be any alterations to these at this point. So these are ready to go in the quilt. Okay. You also have your 9.5 by 2 inch sashing that is also cut and ready to go into the quilts. Okay. You also have your 2 inch cornerstones that are also ready to go into the quilts. Okay. So all of that is done. And you also have your 3.5 inch squares. You will come back to these, you will need them, but you don't need them immediately. Okay. Your first job is going to be to take your 4.5 inch squares and we're going to pair them up with 4.5 inch background squares. Okay. So for every pair, you will need 2 of your layer cake squares and 2 of your background squares. Okay. So you'll need them paired up. And so I paired those 2 peach ones up. I may not pair these 2 peach ones up because I am still going to need my centers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pair up the ones that I really think are going to be gorgeous and pop. I'm going to pair them up and I will set the rest of this aside. You are going to pair up all of your squares with your background squares. So you only have 48 of these. That's all you need. Okay. You have more than 48 of these. You will need 24 of them to be your centers, but you do want your you do want your half square triangles that we're about to do, you do want them to be matched up. So you don't want two different colors. So like you wouldn't want a blue here, maybe you put a blue there and put a red here and a red here, okay? If that makes sense to you. That's not what I would recommend doing. Now there's a couple of different ways you can do half square triangles. If you are new to doing half square triangles, the common method to do them is to take a half square triangle pair. You've got them paired up. You've got one fabric laid on top of the other. You are going to take a ruler and a marking tool of your choice. And some marking tools have it where you can get the 1/4 inch seam and you can mark that as well. I don't bother with that because I do have a good 1/4 inch on my presser foot on my machine. But if you don't, then just take and draw a line from one diagonal to the other down the center of one of your squares. And you're going to sew a 1/4 inch on either side. So you're going to sew a 1/4 inch this direction of your diagonal line, and you're going to sew a 1/4 inch on the opposite side of your diagonal line. If you have diagonal seam tape or you have one of those really cool lasers that I would love to get, then you can do it that way. But if you don't, then don't panic about it, okay? Please do not panic about it. There's no panicking allowed in quilting. There's plenty of time to panic about other things other than quilting. So we're not panicking about this tonight. You can panic about something else. Just don't panic about this, okay? We're not panicking. We're not panicking. All right, so I'm gonna sew 1/4 inch away from my line. I actually do have diagonal seam tape on my machine and on my table. So I'm actually going to use that as my guideline versus my drawn line. How do you like to do yours? If you have done half square triangles before and you are okay with doing these this way, where you're making 2 at a time, how do you like to do yours? Do you draw a line? Do you have diagonal seam tape? What do you do? What is your preferred option? What is your preferred option? So we're going to make 2 blocks so that I can show you how it goes together. The rest is fairly easy. But we are going to go through 2 blocks so that way you guys can see this block come together. And then that way you understand how it goes together in case you've never seen anything like this before. I know I do some weird stuff sometimes, so I don't think this one's that weird. I think this one is kind of easy along the lines of the charm square one called Charm to Meet You that we did back in February. I think this one really is along those lines. Super easy, super quick to do. And I didn't even start this one. I didn't even start that one until, maybe second week of June. So I really did not have that much of a head start on doing this so that you guys could see everything is ready for it. So if I wasn't teaching it right now, I would already be, probably done with done with everything. Gotta love, taking the break, right? Taking the break. All right. See, Andrea says she likes doing the 4 to 8 at a time. So if she knows the finished size, okay. So they are going to be finishing in the quilt at 3 inches. The finished size before putting them in the quilt is 3.5. 3 lines have seam tape and prefer a 4 at a time method. Ooh, very cool. I do not do a lot of the 4 at a time method or any of the others just because I end up, I don't know why. I guess I just don't think about it, I think is what the big deal is I don't think about doing it that way. I guess if I had a cheat sheet, I probably would think about it a little bit more, but I definitely don't. Lana draws the line, even though she has to have rulers that have the 1/4 inch on both sides with the center line too. Yes, I hear you on that. Now, if I sew on Anastasia, I do not have diagonal seam tape on her, and I will not put any diagonal seam tape on her. So I have to draw the line working on Anastasia. But we're not using her today. We are using Ricky. We're back to Ricky. She's back. She's back from the spa day. All right. So I've got my lines sewn. So you guys can see I've got 2 sewn lines here. And I am using white thread because this is going to be a finished quilt. I'm not, just, throwing any of this out. And I do something that most people don't see me do. After I get these lines sewn, I go ahead and set my seams. I don't wait until I've cut it, usually. Sometimes I do just because I have to, because that's what the time requires. But most of the time, I don't do that. I go ahead and set the seam before I come back over. And now I will cut multiples at a time. So I've got 2 different ones layered on top of each other. And I'm just going to cut between my seam lines and cut between the 2. And so now I've got 4 half square triangles there. Sharon says, gotta go, guys. Absolutely, Sharon. You're very welcome. She's going to get the printout and watch the replay, guys. I love that. That's what it's all about. That's why there is a replay. That's why replay is an option. All right. Here we go. All right. Now, you can press these whichever way you like. You do not have to press them open. That's what I'm going to do, but you don't have to. So if you want to press them all to one side, you can do that, but I'm not going to. I am going to press them all open because that's what I like to do. Let me see if I can add, we're going to see if I can add my, okay. Well, we're going to see. I'm going to see if I can add my ironing board because, yeah. All right. So we've got the ironing board added up here. And I'm going to bring it down. So I apologize if I should make you sick doing that. But if it does, not my intention. Okay. So this is going to be 2 different blocks worth. It is not just 1 block. 2 blocks. Okay. So since I've already set the seam, all I need to do is open it up. And because I've already starched this fabric, it's going to lay pretty flat once I press it. If you've not starched and you want to starch, this is the time to starch. Okay, if you want to. If you are typically a starcher and you forgot or you were in a hurry, this is the time to do it. Is to go ahead and add it when you're pressing these. Okay, so there's that one. Here's this one. And I am loving how this background is looking. I think this background is going to be perfect for these. Absolutely perfect. So these are going to be oversized. So, I told you, you're going to have room for a little bit of error. These are oversized, but that also allows you to pick the best part of the fat quarter, or not the fat quarter, the best part of the layer cake fabric. So like, let's say, oh, I see this little dog and I want to make sure that I get that dog in there. I would be able to do that with giving that extra room. This is actually the longest part of the process, is pressing them, and then we're going to go trim them to 3.5 inches. All right. All right, there's that. And I think I have an idea of what I'm going to use for the centers because, you know, it is, I got to plan for that a little bit since I'm not doing all of these at the same time. All right. And I'll show you how to pick what you're doing for your centers as well. I have all the tips. Thank you, Chloe. I've lived through them. That's part of the problem. Is I've lived through the bad side of my tips. How do I know how to do that? It's because I've done it the wrong way many, many times. And I apparently did not give myself as much of a seam allowance as I should have. These are not coming out full 1/4 inch seams here. Like this one will be, and that one will be. But I definitely cut a little close, so. Do as I say, not as I do. So 1/4 of an inch away. Don't cut it too close. All right. I'm going to show you guys something before we go back over to the cutting table. So be patient with me for just a moment. Let me get this last one done. Oh. Helps if I actually press it instead of just finger pressing. That way it's a little bit flatter. Okay. All right, let me grab some fabrics. Oh. All right. Wonder what making a miniature pinwheel in the center would look like. Probably too busy. Probably too busy. That's why I didn't do it. It's because I didn't think it would look as appealing. Welcome in, Zaza. Oh, thank you for saying hi. I appreciate it. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Okay. So here's what we're going to go over real quick. And we're doing this at the cutting table or the ironing board, which I know my camera is a little glitchy. So you may just have to be patient with me, okay? All right. So when you do these half square triangle sets, please make sure to pick 2 fabrics and pair your fabrics, okay? So if you want to have all of your fan wheels pieces the same colors in your block, make sure that you pick 2 of your squares. Now, if you remember, when we cut everything, we ended up with 4 of every square. Okay, sorry. Let's put it where you guys can see it. Okay. So you end up with 4 of every fabric. Okay. You need to pair them up. Okay. So I used 2 of these peach ones. And so I could either do another block where these are my pinwheels, or I'm going to have 2 centers to my other blocks. You're not going to be able to do, you've got your pinwheel here, you're not going to be able to do a center and just have 1 extra, okay? You're going to have to rearrange things. So if you're cutting from yardage, you have flexibility if you want to have your entire fan the same color. But I think it gives it visual interest to not have it all the same color. So when you pair these up, that these are the ones you're going to sew, take your other 2, pair them up, set them aside, and then when you get done doing all of your, I'm going to go ahead and pull my blue ones that I just did here. Once you go through and get all of your half square triangles done, then you have whatever's left over is your centers, and they should be paired as centers. So I've got 2 centers or 4 centers right here just in these 2 fabrics. I don't want to pair them up with each other because I'm only going to have 1 block that has those. and only gonna have one block that has these unless I have multiples of everything. Okay, so what I recommend is pair them up, choose the ones that you think you want for centers, but pair them up. So I'm gonna have this as a center, but I have multiples of this fabric. So here's, 2 for pinwheel pieces. Here's, 2 more for centers. And then, I'm about to have 2 more for pinwheel pieces. Okay. So whatever you do it in 2s. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do this fabric for the center of this pinwheel. And I'm going to do it also for the center of this pinwheel fan, or this fan, okay? So I'm going to use the same fabric for both of these, but as you go through, just make sure you pair everything in pairs of 2, and you will sew through all of 48 of your background squares, your background 4.5-inch squares. You will sew through all 48 of those. So you will have 48 of these squares used as pinwheel squares. Just pair them up in pairs, or just match them up in pairs, okay? All right. So what we're going to do, because these are going to be our centers, we're going to trim these down to 3.5. So I'm going to set my 4.5 inch out of the way so I'm not accidentally grabbing them. You don't want to cut into the wrong squares. All right, so these 2 are going to become 3.5-inch squares. And if you are super confident in your cut and how you line everything up, then you could end up with some 1-inch pieces. So I'll end up with a 1-inch strip here and a 1-inch strip here. Okay. So you will end up with 1-inch strip pieces if you want to use them. If you are willing to use them, you can definitely do that. If you don't want to do that, then that's okay. You don't have to. In order to trim up your half square triangles, you're also going to trim those to 3.5. You're going to take the diagonal line of your ruler and you're going to line it up along your seam line. If you have a block lock that is 3.5 inches, I assume that they make one that is 3.5 inches, you can use that. I do not have a block lock. You would press to one side if you were. But I do not have one, so I'm not doing that. Welcome in, Teresa. She's popping in to say hi. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Today is that freebie pattern day. Freebie pattern. All right. So I'm going to slide the extra out of the way real quick. And we're going to assemble one block. I'm going to show you one block. And so I'm going to take this extra piece out of the way because that's going to my next block. And we're just going to get this trimmed up. We're going to sew this one. And then we're going to have a little discussion, and that might be about it for today. Might be, because I've got to get the handout to you guys, and I've got to get the retreat emails sent. If you want to sign up for the retreat, make sure you click that link up at the top. If you are watching this on replay, the link will already have been closed, so you will not be able to do so. You do have to sign up before the live ends. So we'll be ending in about 10 minutes, I'm thinking, depending on how long it takes me to sew this. I didn't really want to go 2 hours, but, exhaustion sets in, and that's what we do, right? We do what we have to do. All right. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing with these here in just a second too, and show and explain to you what we're doing with them as far as how we're laying them out. Everybody saying hello to Teresa Louise. And guys, if you've not hit that thumbs up, please do so. My channel really appreciates it. It appreciates the love and the express agreement that you have decided that you want to be here. All right. All right. So this is our scrap. So we do have scrap left over, but you're not cutting an odd size. You're not cutting an odd size. All right. So when you lay out your fan block, and this is why I called it a fan. If you think about those really old fans, and this is why I call it Grandma's Cakes and Fans. Okay. If you think about those really, really old fans, they all have that big centerpiece and these little bitty blades. Oh, thank you. Yes, Chloe. She says thumbs up for Tammy and a wonderful free pattern. You're very welcome. All right, so all of this is trimmed to 3.5 inches. And you're going to take your 3.5 inch background squares. Your cell phone demanded that she be here. I like your cell phone more and more, Rita. I am liking your cell phone. All right. So when you're laying this out, you can always come back and look at the video and see how it's laid out. Here is my rule of thumb and how I remembered this, because you know me, probably. I do not sew anything one block at a time. I pick things up, carry everything to my machine, and I sew it in batches, and I chain sew. So I remember, so what I did is the bottom of this fan piece, the bottom color piece, or the color piece, the bottom is my color, and the bottom is my color. It just depends on which one is going to point towards your center. You want to have the point going towards your center, okay? Then on the opposite side, the color is at the top away from me, and the color is at the top away from me. And again, they've got to point towards the center, so that's how I made sure to line them up the right direction. So I'm going to take these to the machine and we're going to sew. We're going to get them put together. Normally I do a lot more sewing for these patterns, or sewing for the lives for these patterns, but this one just did not need a lot of extra sewing because it is super nice and easy. So this is my center, so I'm going to lay it over and pick it up. So this is why I said if you can do all of your half square triangles before you start this assembly, that way you don't accidentally cut a background square that you need, or you don't cut a layer cake square that you need at 4.5 inches, that you don't cut it to 3.5 by accident. You only want to cut them if you need them cut. Chloe says, easy is for me, right? Right now, easy is all I can manage. Oh, maybe by this time next week, I will be recovered. We're going to hope. I'm definitely going to do some sleeping in. All right. I'm just going to layer this on. I mean, and these blocks, you're only going to make 24 of these fan blocks. You have 24 of your layer cake blocks, your Grandma's Cakes blocks. You only have 24 of those, and you only need 24 of your fan blocks. So it is super quick and easy to put together. The hardest part, the most time-consuming part, is pressing your seams and trimming up your half square triangles. And then decision making. Decision making, I guess, is the hardest part. Because once you've made the decisions, then you're good to go. All right, so we're going to put this one on there. Make sure it is pointing towards the center, because you've got to make sure that it points towards the center, otherwise it won't look like a fan. All right. So now I'm going to press my seams. So I'm going to show you. Actually, you guys can still see the ironing board. That's perfect. That saves me a lot. Saves me a lot of work. Okay. Y'all are making it easy for me now. Making it, wait, no, we're not going to say it. Y'all are making it too easy. Nothing is too easy. All right, so this is my center. This is my bottom. And this is my top. Now, worst case scenario, if you get turned around about this, it doesn't matter which one is top and bottom, as long as your points are going towards your center. You don't want to do this where you have loose fan pieces hanging around. That's a broken fan, okay? So you want to make sure that your center pieces are going to go, or your points are going to go towards your center. So what you're going to do is for this row, your bottom, you're going to press towards this center background piece. So you're going to press in. So you're pressing away from your half square triangles. And I'm just manipulating that seam underneath. Okay. Your center row, you're pressing those seams away from your center piece. And it doesn't matter if it's a light or a dark compared to whatever your background is. It does not matter. You are always pressing that center seam away from that center block. And then the top is going to be back again towards your center. Okay. So having everything starched does make this process easier because then your fabric is going to handle a little bit more consistently. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to sew these 2 rows, and then I'll come back and get that one, and then we'll come back and press, and I'll show you how I recommend that you press the rest. Now, you can press everything open if you want, but I didn't find a need for it. Welcome in, Izzy. I understand. Glad to see you, though. Thank you for the thumbs up, Izzy. Appreciate it. Long time no see, so glad to see you in my chat. Glad to see you. All right. Let's get this seam sewn. And then we will get the next one over here and get it sewn. And bump the dog's head out of the way because he's laying literally underneath my table. He's trying his best to be underfoot. All right, so again, make sure that those angles point towards your center so that you don't end up with a disjointed fan. You want it to look like a fan, not like a broken dish or a turn dish or something else. You do want it to look like a fan. I was sitting there, when I drew this one, like, drawing it in my book. When I drew this one, I was like, it kind of looks like a fan. I guess that's the best word for it, is it looks like a fan. So that's where the name came from. Okay. So now we have our seams sewn here. So I'm going to take and I'm going to trim my extra threads because I'm a little particular about that. I don't really like the extra threads hanging around and being in the way. All right. So what I want to see on the back of this is the leaky dish. Oh my gosh. Where is William when you need him? So I want to see this entire center square flat. So we are going to press the seams out towards the fan. Okay. I'm going to press them out this way. And we're going to press them out this way. Now, if you want to press them a different direction, you can do that. I just found that this gave it the best visual appeal. I did try some other pressing options when I was making the first one. And I found that it just looks better this way than it did going the other directions. Even better than pressing it open. I like this better. Just because it really does line up right. All right, so now we have our paw prints in the center, And we have our dogs on the hills with trees. There's a puppy dog right there. So we have that here as well, okay? So this is our fan block. And let me grab one of our cake blocks. And this is one of our cake blocks, okay? So let me take the extra cameras off real quick. Hey, we're getting there. We are getting close. Okay. So I'm going to pull this over. And I'm going to use this room up here real quick. So we're going to have, and it does kind of blend in with my design wall. So it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. I'm going to scoot this down. Oh, I should have thought about that, but I wasn't planning it based off of my design wall. I was planning it based off the colors that I thought would look good on it. My design wall color was the least of my worries. The one you're handing vertical sashing is one color. Yes, correct. So this one, I did not have enough of either of my sashing colors to do them all. Either this color or this color. So I split the difference. So I did all the horizontal this way because you need 40 horizontal ones and you need 42 vertical ones. So I split the difference that way. So we're going to have like that. And then I'm just going to grab a different one. So you're going to go 6 blocks across and 8 blocks down. Okay. So all of your background squares will be used up in the fan block. You will not have leftovers with the numbers that I will be giving you in the handouts. You will not have any leftovers. And you can choose your own method to sew this all together. If you like to sew an entire column together and then grab the next column and start sewing it together, you can absolutely do it that way. I chain piece it, I web piece. So I pick things up and sew it as I go. But that is entirely up to you. Entirely up to you. I think the blue is going to really make the sashing pop on this one. All right. So that's the start of the Grandma's Cakes and Fans. So you will have a total of 24 of your cake pieces, 24 cake pieces, and you will have 24 fans by the time you get them all done. You will not have sashing. Sashing like this, or the sashing. You will not have it on the outside. So your outside will be all of this. So you are putting your border directly onto this. Okay. If you audition your border and you're not happy with that, make adjustments, add another border, do what you need to do so that you are happy with your particular layout and your particular plan. So you'll cut your, I did the math, but I'm going to redo the math before I send out the handout. For the top and bottom, you'll need your or your side, sorry, you'll need your borders 91.5 inches long, which doesn't seem right. So I'm going to redo the math, but you'll need 3-inch wide borders to just kind of round it out. That will make your quilt, let's see, I will do the math. guys, it will be on the handout. I cannot do it on the fly. I will have to write it out. What do you guys think? Is this easy? Have I made it make sense? I know I'm so exhausted, so I do apologize again. I know I've been apologizing a lot, but I am so sorry that I have not been at my normal. I've pushed myself so hard. So I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. It's kind of like, I got a little slap on the wrist for waiting 9 years to get my machine serviced, and it's kind of like that. I really should have gotten a little bit more sleep versus working on getting this ready. Oh, yay! Chloe gets it. Andrea says she likes it. Yay! Awesome. So, all right, guys, I am going to go ahead and we're going to sign off because I've been live for just over 2 hours and I've been working on this all day. And I need to get you your handouts. If for whatever reason you do not get your email for the retreat, if you have signed up for the retreat and you do not get your email, please check your spam folder. Please check it. If it is not there, send me an email and go, hey, I signed up, or hey, I thought I signed up and I didn't get my email. Emails will go out by, give me 3 hours. It should be out within the next hour, but if it is not out within the next hour, give me 3. I will get those emails sent out with the Zoom link so you guys can come join in the Zoom retreat. That starts at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, bright and early. I might be functional by then. We are going to hope and pray I am. But I will see you guys this weekend. And then if you can't join the retreat, I understand. I will be live Sunday night for After Sunset Sunday, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, guys, like always. So look for the handout within the next hour or so. In the description box, there will be a link for you to go click and to go download it. And it is free to get, so don't think you've got to pay for anything. I don't charge for that. And come hang out with me Sunday night. If you have not hit subscribe, please hit that subscribe button so you get all the notifications. And if you not hit that like or thumbs up button, please do that. That way YouTube knows you are happy to be here. I will see you guys